This is kind of what the EPA is telling everybody and how rule progression works when you're actually creating the sausage. December 2023, they're saying we're going to have a final PM 2.5 revision. We'll know what the next is. December 2024, the state will have to submit their designations. So the states will have to look at all of their monitoring information to determine are they complying with the new max or not. And if they are, they're going to have to say these are attainment or unclassifiable. If they're not, the expectation is they are going to say these areas should be declared non-attainment. August 2025, there's a 120-day letter by the EPA to the governor. Since this is a new max, they are required to inform all state officials of, are we declaring non-attainment areas? Your state representative, you have them. We are going to put them in place. We're giving you what they call a fair warning, 120 days. So you are about to have PM 2.5 non-attainment areas. Early 2026, they're anticipating that the areas will be effective. And so now we know whether we're attaining or not attaining. If you are non-attainment, later on in that year, the state has to submit infrastructure and transport SIPs. By within a year, July 2027, they have to submit their PM 2.5 SIP rule to the EPA if they are SIP approved or want to be SIP approved for this aspect of it. And then December 2032 is the attainment date, is what the EPA is saying. So that basically means that if you are declared non-attainment, and again, remember, we got the two classifications. We got moderate and we got serious. Everybody's going to be moderate. And so if you do not meet that December 2032 attainment date, everybody will be reclassified to serious. That lowers the applicability thresholds by 30 tons. From 100 tons down to 70. And then it makes it necessarily that much harder to do things. That is my presentation, guys. Thank you so much for attending tonight. I wanted to get you out of here before 12. I did mean to do it just 4 minutes before. So I'm sorry. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope this is something you can take. A little bit of things I did not put in my slide, just some of the chat I'm hearing, if you don't mind me sharing. These aren't the only max things in question right now, or only changes the EPA is contemplating. So just put this on your back Bunsen burner for future reference. The EPA, through their normal cycle, is starting to take a look at NOx and SO2 and lead max. They are just entering the review cycle for that, unlike the other ones which were accepted, rejected, now going to be reconsidered. This is the first step. They're going back and looking at it. And so they're going to be looking at NOx, SO2, and PM, whether those max values should stay or be lowered. And so that analysis is starting. Two other things that I think are interesting. When the current administration came in, the president, through executive order, and the EPA, through his orders, countermanded or negated a lot of things that existed prior to that. There are two things right now, and the things that were done by rules, that were done by memo, all this they have to do is a memo is not a rule. If one administrator says you can do this per memo, the other administrator comes back and scratch that, you can't do it anymore. And it is what it is. You don't have any recourse. There's a couple of them that were actually put into rule in the previous administration. The current administration at the EPA is saying they are thinking about going back and trying to unwind or undo that. There are two of them that are catching a lot of people's attention. One of them is called once in, always in. Right now, if you are a major source of HAPs under Part 63, you are max major and you have to do all the rule requirements for that. The following administration came back and said, that's really not the way it was intended to be used. It is a major source control rule. If you're no longer a major source, why do you have to keep major source control rules for now a minor source? And they said that's when they gave you the ability to back out of an ESHAP for Part 63. And they put that rule. Can actually come in and make yourself federally enforceable below Part 63 triggers, and you're no longer required to comply with the Part 63 unless you're an area source. They do have what they call area source rules, which basically means you're not major, whether you bet 10 or 25 or not. There were specific industries of concern. Current administrations is making noises as they want to unwind that. Now they have to go through rulemaking because they actually went through the CFR and it's now part of 40 CFR 51, 52. But they are talking about potentially starting up a rule effort to unwind that, get rid of once and always. And so they want to go back to the days where if you were in, you're in, regardless of whether you maintain major short status or not. That's one thing to think about. The other one is the project increase analysis. Right now, in many states, you can actually do what they call applicability accounting. So in step one of PSD and non-attainment reviews, you can take increases and decreases part of the same project and combine them to do your almost like a mini net to determine whether you trigger full-blown net. Historically, prior to that, called project emissions accounting, prior to that, you only looked at increases to determine, and then if you had decreases, even with your product or with your project, it would appear as a minus in the netting contemporaneous. And so it made it a lot easier to trigger net. And now you can put increases and decreases in what they call step one. Step two is the netting analysis. There's also noise and stuff going on that they want to overturn project emissions accounting and go back to the old ways of increases only to trigger netting. And then if you do have reductions, it gets picked up in the netting and not as part of the project analysis. And so those are two things now that are being actively discussed at the EPA. They have to go through rulemaking to unwind them. But if you or some of the people in your organizations follow CFRs, just keep that in mind and don't blow off when most agency is proposing this rule or that rule. They may be proposing a rule to undo what you've been doing.
Now CCQ allows for project A step one. Project A.
Right now, yes,
CCQ is allowing, right?
yes, because it's part of the CFR.
Yeah.
I can tell you on the state-to-state difference. Colorado does not use project emission accounting, so you can't, it's still the old way. They actually prohibit you from putting increases and decreases in your netting analysis. All right, guys. Good Friday. Be well. Take care of yourselves. Thank you. I appreciate it. So this, okay. I don't do these advanced expert classes very often. Was this kind of information helpful, or is this something I should take out of my notation and not bother?
Yeah.
Because I'm not too sure of too many other people that are doing a presentation along this line. I just want to make sure I'm not wasting time.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you for the feedback.
Stay for a reason. So the next standard, 9 microgram, 10 microgram. Is that less than or equal or less than? So for example, they come out and they put 10 microgram per cubic meter and my accounting monitors are saying I'm at 10 microgram per cubic meter. I'm attainment.
No,
I'm at non-attainment.
that's the way the EPA has.
So they bring it down.
It is fine.
Equal to that's not what
I'm going to ask you during the, maybe I didn't get a chance. I was recently asked by a person. Lawyers, why couldn't we do like on a project, they said, why couldn't you do projected actual? I mean, I have never done that before. I want to know the difference between projected actual and PTE. What's the difference? I mean,
PTE is hardwired into the time of your. A projected actual is generally between your baseline action. The projection actual was another interesting universe in the federal regulations because it was basically the EPA trying to be industry path. Industry was saying that time of trigger it's based on actual ITP, like PTEs are very, very high.
Right.
I trigger all the time, but I never get there. The response is, well, then lower your PTE.
Yeah.
That kicked off a whole other round of discussion that you're pointing And so what they found out doing is saying, okay, we'll go up with the projected. And the projected, that's what they do. Projected actual is a value between your baseline and your PTE. So you can come up with a projected actual, we have to project it, there's a whole bunch of criteria.
How many, 5 years?
You have to track it for 5 years after the projected actual was established,
Uh-huh.
unless there is an increase in potential for net or plant capacity, you have to track it. You track that against your projected actual. And if you ever equal or exceed that projected actual, you have to go back to that original project and then use whatever that value is above the projected actual and bring back your entire.
But that basically cuts your PTE in, cuts you another limit at like a projected actual, and you never can exceed that.
Well, if you exceed it, you have to go back and bring. But yes, that's what it was intended to do. It's a supplement for somebody lowering their PTE. So it's, if you exceed your projected actual, it's not the same thing as exceeding your PTE or having a violation. But if you exceed your projected actual, people who exceed your projected actual, it is a requirement to go back and reanalyze that budget and say, and you use this, that, and what have you treated?
You could get trouble anyway. It's like if you go back to that analogy, right? You know.
You literally do. No, I mean, depending on how much your projected actual was relating to your trigger.
So after 5 or 10 years, now you can exceed the projected actual you established at that time without a problem.
That is the strange potential truth is people would argue, yes, you can do that after tracking it for 10 years. I'm not going to tell you how that makes sense. Like a friend of mine used to say, it doesn't have to make sense. It's the law. I just kind of started to, thank you. You bet. It's good meeting you.
I sent you an email.
Okay.
All right.
Just one overarching question. Is EPA able to make changes globally on all these what they're doing? Or
Well, I mean, globally
if
to the
not
extent
EPA
of,
as a US?
absolutely,
pushing-
they are the National Environmental Protection Agency for the entire country. So if they come out with a new NACS or whatever, that applies to everybody regardless of where you are in the United States and its territories.
Yeah, but what about anybody overseas? Other countries, Europe? Like our
No,
country
they can't tell other countries what to do.
Not able to push.
But
Those guys are also coming at similar things, right?
my understanding is they are to various
Yeah.
degrees, some tighter, some not as
Yeah.
tight, yeah.
Like-
It's a mixed bag what happens
It's a mix,
internationally.
like how our API standards are,
Right.
ISO standards.
Right, yeah,
Similarly,
the only time I see a crossover is when somebody, and I've encountered this a couple of times.
Yeah.
When somebody from like Italy or France or whatever says,
right.
well, here's how we do, here's how we do permitting authorization in the home country. So that's what I'm gonna do here.
Mm.
That doesn't work. All right, you bet.
Sorry, I'll check out and run.
Yeah, no worries. It's a pleasure meeting you. Yeah, I hope it was
Yeah.
worthwhile.
Is it possible to get a copy? I think I signed.
Yeah, sign that. Please sign in.
See you next time.
All right. Hey, it's good seeing you. Man.
Yeah.
Safe travels in your future conferences.
Thank you.
So, yeah,
Thank you.
stay in touch.
Yeah.
Like I said, if there's something that we can get together on other panels or whatever, let me know.
Yeah.
It's just an AWMA and TCC conflict. Yeah. Nice meeting you. Take care of yourself. We do, well, I got,
Yeah, it's there.
Or- so you do, flare,
Yeah, we do combustion equipment.
so just flares or do you like boilers and heaters and all that other kind of
We
stuff?
do, well, we do flares, we do, combustors. ARU systems.
Okay, yeah.
And environmental. permitting.
Since you're a vendor and stuff like that, I can tell you that as companies start to grapple with 2.5, historically, there has been a lack of definition in emission calculations of 2.5 versus 10.
Right.
2.5 is considered to be a part of 10, and they give you a PM10 number, and that's it. When this happens, that is no longer going to be acceptable. They are going to specifically require and request 2.5. So don't be surprised if your clients in the industry, whether it be refining or what have you, comes back to you and says, I need to have a 2.5 speciation component out of PM10 because I'm going to be required to track 2.5.
Yeah.
There are, and I'm not familiar, I don't think I've ever run across you, but I can tell you that there are companies, vendors out there that don't want to talk about it. They don't want to guarantee anything because it's a low number. It's going to have a lot of potential enforcement and compliance issues behind it. They would rather stick their head in the sand and not do it. Eventually, there's going to be a crossover between the vendors and the users, the companies getting the techniques, where they are going to feel forced and obligated, both professionally and potentially by law, to differentiate that 2.5.
Yeah.
And that's something where vendors, whether you agree with it or not, it's coming. And if y'all have the ability to define what those are for your products, long-term, that's gonna put you ahead.
Yeah, I'm not an environmental expert. We have an environmental manager in our company, which
Okay.
is one of the reasons I really want him to see what you presented. And of course. But, and when you go to Midland, West Texas area.
Yep.
I've heard that they're looking at monetizing, moving towards non-attainment in that area, which would be low NOx.
There has been, the Permian Basin has kind of and I didn't get into it here, but the Permian Basin has kind of been a hot area of discussion and activities.
Mhm.
There are NGOs, otherwise environmental groups and others that want the area to be declared non-attainment.
Correct. That's what I'm hearing.
It's going to be interesting, and we're going to run into a potential situation, kind of like we have with El Paso being added to New Mexico. Is that there are no TCEQ monitors or EPA run monitors in the Permian Basin to declare non-attainment status. Their rumor is, and I'm not a New Mexico expert, but that New Mexico in the extension of the Permian across the state boundary apparently has some. But the problem that some of the NGOs and stuff are running into is they want the EPA to designate it a Texas ozone non-attainment area based on New Mexico data. And the federal rules are not set up like that because you have to be non-attainment in or the surrounding areas of what you want to be declared non-attainment for. You have to have a measured non-attainment area. It has to be verifiable. Somebody's wants and wish and desires doesn't pass muster.
Right.
There are rumors that they did like mobile monitoring trips, that they've drawn drone flyovers, and that they've picked up high levels of ozone. I have no doubt that that might be true, but to be formally declared, you have to have 3 consecutive years of actual monitoring information, QA, QC'd above the standard, and then a determination made that you are not meeting the standard.
Right.
It's not just, hey, my buddy had a van and we picked up high numbers, make them non-attainment. That's what people want to happen. Legally right now, that can't happen. And so now you have an argument of the want to haves and the people who said we're not up to that level arguing with each other. So the environmental groups to some extent are putting pressure on the EPA to just unilaterally declare it non-attainment as a matter of
Right.
policy and law and bequeath, you are non-attainment and item such. That if they do, that sets up a huge ball of wax because the EPA doesn't have the ability to just do that. Number one, I think they will be sued. Number two, it's been overused, but that may bring up major questions doctrine of did Congress ever intend to give the EPA to unilaterally carte blanche start picking winners and losers. And so the long and the short of it is there is a lot of runway left between here and there.
Yeah.
But there are various people getting on that runway and trying to drive the
I
conversation.
think they're driving it now, for example, on the EDF and some of the other environmental type.
Absolutely.
That are doing that, like you mentioned, spinning up flyovers, drone flights,
Yep.
all kinds of people outside the perimeter.
Yeah.
Taking measurements and this sort of thing to try
Yeah.
and one of their big focuses right now that affects us is they're looking at flares, they're doing all these IR specs and everything else on that. See what kind of emissions they do.
Yeah, I think that if they want it bad enough, they're grasping at straws and they're looking at all different kinds of things. I'm not enough of a flare. I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm not enough of a flare expert. I do know that a lot of people with flares and stuff, byproducts of combustion, the automatically assumption is that anything that comes out is automatically 2.5. And whether you agree with that or not, that's kind of the way, and it's been that way for years and years. The same thing out of boilers and heaters. It's a vast majority of it's 2.5. And so it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. There's a lot of maneuvering room left, but
Yeah,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
where are you, Mr.?
I'm based out of Boston.
You're
This is whole.
I'll go, my same parade. Very good. Yes, think of the market chain, if you start talking. Design
And it's potentially coming for some parts of the area.
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking about ozone and stuff like that out in the Permian, I keep going back to the rules say, here's how you designate an ozone nonattainment area.
yeah.
You can't just, I hate to use the word because it should be intuitively obvious and not, but it is a scientific and health-based analysis. It's not a wish-based analysis. Wishes are a dime a dozen and you can get a cup of coffee. They have to actually prove and show through the proper criteria of monitoring, showing you have 3 years of average data. You compare that against the standard. And if you're equal to or greater than the standard, then yes, you are ozone non-attainment, no doubt.
Yeah.
But you have to do the upfront to get to the result.
Yeah.
And there are people out there that are saying, I don't like ozone, whatever, X, Y, Z. I want you to bypass that and just
do it.
do it.
Yeah.
Call them non-attainment. There's no real support for that.
All right, very good. Thank you very much.
All right, you bet.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming up.
Take care.
Likewise, safe travels. Happy Good Friday to you.
I'm finished to extend the total 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Want to get fined. They told me no.
Well, the thing is about this is I really didn't want to keep everybody here until noon,
You did very.
but, and you're my witness. I got finished before freaking 12 o'clock.
You did.
But I mean, but that's the part about when you have an advanced class like this
Yeah.
is I can convey what I know, but it's the guys in the plants, it's the guys, yeah, and everybody has good points that neither the regulatory agency or people like me have even come up. It's through this kind of educated debate that we can have a positive influence on a technical and engineering basis on cause and effect. You may not like the effect of the cause, but you can discuss it. That's a lot different than being anointed and saying, this is going to happen and this is going to happen, and you don't know how they got there. I think being a professional engineer for longer than I care to admit, there's a process and a procedure and a technicality and a reality behind what you're doing.
Yeah.
If it's a problem, you may not like it, but it's a problem. But just don't declare it a problem because you don't like what it could potentially be. You don't even know. Absolutely.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Uh,
I should speak to the guys there. They're not willing to give it other than YouTube.
Okay.
Do you mind putting it for me?
The one you were looking for, I don't have.
No, the
but,
one you did today. I think I don't have to worry about downloads and all, because it's going to be 20 megabytes or anything. You're allowed to download.
You won't be allowed to download.
It's okay.
I tell you,
It's very for linking.
these right now are in,
Like you can
First-
PDF.
yeah, I'm gonna have to PDF them,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I don't need-
yeah.
I don't need your presentation, and I, promise you, I don't touch anything. If I need to even use a slide, I'll ask you. That's what I do. I'm not going to just do anything without you.
I think you just unplugged my power.
I just pulled this out, which is the screen.
Oh, I got you. Stay.
is just go click on open and then save as PDF and then
Yeah, it is.
save it into the drive.
It is not what the do that. This computer is set up different.
If
I
you
don't know
do
what.
find- Go save.
There we
as.
go. The first time I did that, it didn't even give me this menu.
And then down here, download it to PDF.
So do I need to put it in a specific thing or?
No, it should come.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
It's
didn't
okay.
know if you wanted it in a specific location on your drive.
Yeah, no, it's, my drive is empty. There's nothing there. Just select
There it
it.
is.
Select the location as a drive.
Investigation.
Yeah, sure, say yes.
Oh, come on.
When you click up there,
Yeah,
instead of desktop.
Yep.
Select my drive. You click on the desktop,
Yeah. This one operates differently than.
then you come down,
than
keep going
mine,
down.
so,
here.
I hate this computer.
No,
Is it-
just in this.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it scroll down,
Oh.
so it's.
It won't happen.
This stupid thing does not want to. Isn't it like?
Yes, you,
Yeah.
this thing has to go down.
USB?
Just click.
Oh, so you don't have anything on it at all?
No, it's not. Yeah. And then if you want to stop this recording, this,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
just click the red button.
Yep.
No, the
Yeah.
last one.
That's,
The last one.